Today, I'm going to be busting the top 20 myths from Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2. Now that it's been out for a few days, we're going to be looking at the best myths that have actually come up and what actually needs to be busted and what needs to be confirmed. Let's jump right into the video. Now, the first myth that we have is, does a tank move faster than a Fortnite player? Now, I actually did the math on this a very long time ago on my YouTube channel, and a Fortnite player will run at about 12 miles per hour. Now, a tank is actually displayed in kilometers per hour, but it manages to move at around 18 miles per hour. This therefore confirms that a tank does move faster than a Fortnite player. For the second myth, can you jump over tilted towers with an IO cannon? This sounds absolutely crazy, but trust me, it works out. Now, basically what I did is I started on the very bottom side of tilted towers and I hopped into that cannon and I went right over tilted, but it was too easy and I felt like I could go higher. So I went into the other side of tilted towers, got on a higher elevation cannon, and then shot myself over the IO blimp all the way over tilted towers. It was insanely cool, and this is just a really fun thing that you can do in-game and have some fun with it. Now, for the third myth, does Overshield protect you from the storm? Guys, I have seen way too many people thinking that Overshield protects you from the storm. It's just shield. No, Overshield will not protect you from the storm. Your Overshield is just meant to be a shield, not another health bar. Our fourth myth is, can a cow catcher break anything in Fortnite? Now, for those who don't know what a cow catcher is, it's the new vehicle mod that got added onto cars that will actually allow you to just ram anything in your sight. So what I mean by break anything is anything that's actually breakable by a pickaxe by a player. So yes, this myth has been confirmed. A cow catcher can break anything that a pickaxe can in Fortnite. Now, for the fifth myth, does the combat SMG have the highest DPS in the game? So I ran some numbers and it turns out that it actually does. It has about 40 higher DPS than the Stinger SMG, which is the second highest DPS in the game as of the moment. Now, for our sixth myth, can a tank survive a stack of C4? Now, the newly adjusted C4 is meant to be a vehicle destroyer, but can a tank survive 3 C4 placed onto it at the same time? And it actually can. Whoa. I did not expect this one to happen. I thought that 3 C4 would be way more than enough to blow up a tank, but apparently this thing is just too beefy to get killed by only 3 C4. Now, for our seventh myth, do tanks have an 100% spawn rate? Now, obviously, we've got stuff in the game like chests and other cars that don't have an 100% spawn rate, but do tanks themselves have an 100% spawn rate? So I dropped into the same spot 3 games in a row, and as you guys can see on the third game, the tank was there, meaning that either I got insanely lucky, or the more likely option, the tanks have an 100% spawn rate. Now, for our eighth myth, you can use a cow catcher on a tank. Now, this one sounds weird because a cow catcher is meant to be a vehicle mod. So I actually tested this out, grabbed a cow catcher car mod, and I threw it at the tank, and unfortunately, it just bounces off. But what is something really cool is that if you throw a cow catcher right at the ground, it actually establishes a temporary shield that will absorb up to 800 damage. This is really useful during the 9 days of no building. If you want to have a little bit of extra cover while you're out in the open, grab yourself a cow catcher and throw it down at your feet. Now, for our ninth myth, you can see cars as thermal heat on a thermal AR, even if no one is inside. Now, this myth is weird to think about because why would cars have a thermal signature when you're actually on a thermal AR? So I tested this out in game, and it turns out this myth is true. It has a full thermal signature. Even though it's not running, there's no one inside the car, this thing is apparently just really hot, and the thermal AR loves to pick it up. For our 10th myth, we're about halfway through now. This one is actually about the lore. Now, the myth that we have here is, was the origin the Cube King? Now, as you guys may remember in Chapter 2, Season 8, we had the Cube Queen nearly destroy the map, if we hadn't flipped it over. Little did we know, the Cube Queen actually had a husband, the Cube King. And the Cube King is actually the Origin, one of the members of the Seven. Basically, it shows in his song that he turned his back on the Cube Queen and now went over to the Seven side after seeing all the destruction that they were raining on all of the different worlds, and is now attempting to help the Seven stop the IO. For the 11th myth, I have one that, honestly, it's not about Chapter 3, Season 2, but I thought it was just crazy, and it blew my mind. Can fishing rods go through Spider-Man's webs? Now, obviously, the Spider-Man web shooters have actually been vaulted this season, but his webs are still scattered around the map. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait, can a fishing rod actually fish through one of these things? So I tested it out, and at first I said, yes, wait, this is going through it. But then I looked closer, and it actually bounces over the net and into the water. It's absolutely insane. So, you know, the fishing rod apparently just bounces off the webs, but still manages to keep its trajectory forward. For myth number 12, we're back to Chapter 3, Season 2, and for this one is, can you see people inside a tank with a thermal AR? Now, this one's interesting because tanks are really annoying to fight against, so it would be really nice if you could see exactly where someone is inside of the tank. I tested this out in-game, and it turns out that this myth is not true. You cannot see people inside of tanks with a thermal AR. Now, technically, you can see people in the gunner slot if they are actually outside of the tank in that top compartment, but if they're in the inside of the tank actually driving it, you will not be able to see them with the thermal AR. Now, for our 13th myth, we have, are sharks still in Season 2? They're the everlasting being of the Fortnite universe that we all just want gone, but the sharks are always here. That's right, sharks are still in Fortnite Chapter 3, Season 2.
You want the roll? Come down, Snevik Hospitality, and I'll break your leg.
Now, for our 14th myth, we have your Overshield will eventually run out after too many usages. I'm not sure why this is even a myth, guys. The Overshield is a mechanic in the game. It does not run out. It is an infinite shield as long as you're still alive. This myth has been busted, and I don't want to hear anybody else talking about this because this myth is off the table. For number 15, we have, can a tent ride a tank? It sounds weird, but it's a good thought, because let's say you threw a tent on top of a tank, then you would be able to drive around with a portable storage on top of your tank. Think about it. But unfortunately, Epic Games actually did think about this, and they didn't want to see that in the game, and this myth has been busted. For our 16th myth, can you shockwave grenade a tank? At first, I was 100% convinced that this would not work. I was just throwing this myth on here because I thought it would be kind of funny if it did happen. And turns out it was really funny because it did happen. A shockwave grenade will move a tank and it will send it flying, and it's really funny to watch.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Now, the next myth that we have actually stems from the previous myth. Can you flip a tank with tires? Now, once I saw that a shockwave grenade moves a tank, I was thinking, wait, where else can I go with this? Will tires work with flipping a tank as well? So I grabbed some tires and I threw them at the bottom of the tank, and who would know? The tank flipped right on its back and this thing went flying. I think that this is one of the best mechanics and most underrated ones in Chapter 3, Season 2, confirming the myth that you can flip a tank with tires. Now, for our 18th myth, we have one that is a lot more useful than everything else we've been talking about. This one is, can you Medmist and tactical sprint at the same time? Now, if this one is actually true, you'll be able to get around the map everywhere a lot faster while also healing up. And unfortunately, I went into a game and tested this out, and this myth has been disproved. It is not true. You cannot do a tactical sprint while also using a Medmist. The Medmist will either cancel your tactical sprint, or if you're using the Medmist, your tactical sprint will cancel you using the Medmist. Basically, you just can't do both at the same time. For the 19th myth, we have one that is yet again, I'm mad at you guys that I've been seeing this in my comment section on Twitter, is building on the whole season. Guys, Building is gone for 9 days. March 29th, it's coming back, okay, everybody? The building is not gone the whole season. There will most likely be an LTM, though, that will still allow for a mode without building, but this is not an entire season thing. This is a limited time event. Now, for our 20th myth, can you double mod a card? So I was thinking, hey, if I can throw on one of these cow catchers, can I also throw on one of the Chonkers tires? So I started off with the Chonkers tires. I grabbed myself a cow catcher, and it turns out that even on a Ferrari, you can, in fact, double mod a car, and you can be zipping around in complete style with the absolute fit. Now, for the bonus myth, can you kill the last player with C4? Turns out, in my case, no. I'm an absolute bot, and I had to do it with my SMG. But that was one of the games that I won in this season. Let me know how many wins you guys already have in this season, because honestly, I think that this is going to be one of the best ones of this entire chapter. So make sure to leave your thoughts about this season in the comments down below. Also, make sure to leave any more myths that you want busted down in the comments down below as well, so that your idea may be shown in the next video. But if you guys actually did enjoy the video, then make sure to leave a like on it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as that would help me out a ton. My name is Gummy Yoshi. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next one.